Hello everyone, and welcome back to Art and Chat. Today, I want to show you guys how I recycle and reuse my paint. The oil paint I'm using today is from my last mixed media piece, Vitality. I'll leave a playlist in the description below. Before we get started, I have a little prep I need to do. To start, I have to get rid of this protective lining. I like to leave this paper on my acrylic palettes for a couple of reasons. One, it makes cleaning my palette a total breeze. Two, I don't have to worry about paint drying on my palette, and I can layer wet paint on top of dry, which is really fantastic when you paint as much as I do. As you can see, I have a lot of browns and greens. I'm going to be focusing mostly on the greens. To be more specific, this huge chunk of Viridian. Viridian is one of my favorite colors, and it is a must-have staple for my paintings. From time to time, I swap it out for phthalo blue or green, mostly the green out of necessity. But other than that, I'm a Viridian girly. There's really nothing like it. On my palette, there are many tiny piles of paint. So for my other shade of green, I'm going to be mixing a variation of different shades of green and brown. The color palette I'm going for is monochromatic. So I'll be adding white and black for some tonal variations. Because some of this paint has been sitting on the palette for a while, I'm going to try to bring it back to life. To do that, I'm going to add some oil paint medium. I'm adding just enough to thin, make my paint workable, and slow the drying time. Now I'm going to mix this paint for the gods. For my surface, I decided to paint a new sketchbook cover. I enjoy making my own sketchbooks in my leisure. But as of right now, I don't need a new sketchbook. So it's the perfect time to make this cover, especially with oil paint. Once I'm done with this cover, it's going to have plenty of time to cure. If you're new to oil painting or you've never used the medium before, let me explain how oil paint dries in layman's terms. Oil paint doesn't dry the same as water-based medium, for example, watercolor or acrylic. Water-based mediums dry when the water evaporates from the paint base. Traditionally, oil paint has zero water. The water is replaced with oil. And well, oil doesn't evaporate. So, oil paint dries by curing or by oxidizing, which can take a while. So, I'm making this cover for the far future. I sketched this surreal pattern last week. I'll link the video in the card and below if you want to check it out. Initially, I wanted this painting to be translucent, where you could see the pencil drawing underneath. Additionally, I would incorporate hints of black, white, and green. However, my pencil sketch was a bit too light and it kind of got lost underneath the paint. I guess when I add color, I add color. I'm a stickler for vibrant, saturated, and bright colors, and sometimes it's a flaw, I guess. So for this painting, I guess I'm just gonna go with the flow. First things first, let's glaze my surface with this beautiful Viridian. I'm doing my best to color correct this video, but it is a little too green at times and it's a little too blue, and I really don't feel like it's doing this beautiful color justice. But I think I came pretty close. To make sure I don't lose my sketch again, I'm going to outline everything in a black and Viridian mixture. After that, I'm going in with green at the base of the iris. Next, I'm going in with pure white where I want the highlights to be. And then I'm blending for the gods. Once more, I'm gonna darken my lines and repeat. Once my color blocking is finished, at this point, I know exactly where I want to go with this piece. I am heavily inspired by Vincent van Gogh and Henri Matisse. I love their usage of color and how they depict scenes of nature. So for this cover, I'm going to have an impressionistic style. It's art style that I really get a chance to implement in my work, so I am jumping to do it. Usually I make impressionistic pieces with oil pastel, so it's been a while since I did this in oil paint, but I think it'll be a fun refresher. I'm building my layers slowly to keep some definition in the leaves and berries. Again, I'm going in with my black and Viridian mixture to crisp up my outlines. I'm also using this to darken the veins in my leaves, the pupils, and the leaf stems. The word of the day is texture. This really is the perfect way to paint this cover. I get to use up a lot of leftover paint. Goals. I get to create those visible brush strokes that I love so much. And the process is so relaxing. each and every dip of my paintbrush, I'm loading it full of paint. Viridian is first, of course. I make some small peaks at the top of the iris and then the leaves where I want the shadows to be. Once that is done, I'm using my custom green color to add some texture to the bottom of the iris. As for the leaves, I'm using green as a transitional color. So I'm popping it right next to that viridian. I'm not worried about these colors mixing, but I do want to make sure there's at least some tonal difference. I know, this looks a little bit like a mess right now, but trust me, there's a method to my madness. It's time to break up that color and add some highlights. Beginning with the iris, I add the white to the middle of the eye, making sure that I go around the pupil. Then I lightly blend the white into the green and the viridian areas, creating a smooth transition. I go back and forth, adding white, green, and viridian until I am completely satisfied with the outcome of the eye. And here comes the star of the show. To me, this white really made the painting. Moving over to the leaf, I add the white as a highlight. I'm really trying to use as much as I can of this concentrated white to brighten these leaves while creating dimension. I can't forget about my little berries. They need some love too. So I'm adding white, viridian, and green to them. And to give them a little definition, X's at the top. Keeping with my impressionistic theme for the background, I am channeling Starry Night. I'm really laying on the color now. Starting with white and viridian, I map out the direction I want my paint to go in. Quickly, I realized that the colors are a little too similar. Usually at this point, I would break out a contrasting color that would go with the artwork while adding a little color diversity. But I decided early on that I wanted this piece to be monochromatic. And the only cheat I allowed myself was adding white and black. Secondly, the whole reason I'm making this cover is to use up the paint I have left over from other pieces. And adding another color totally defeats the purpose. So, as much as I want to use pink, I'm not going to. So instead, I'm going to use my black mixture and my custom green color. I wasn't going to use these originally because I thought that it would help the leaves stand out a bit more, but this is my sketchbook cover. I'm not doing some huge finished piece. It's supposed to be light and carefree. And that is what it is, and that is what it will be. So let's get busy. Let the swirls commence. Let me know, do you guys want to see me paint a different version of this artwork on the back cover? And do you guys want to see it as an art and chat or a regular time lapse with background music? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.